Hello there everybody and welcome. It's Jackie here from stampingjack.com and today is the 28th of April. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for our weekly Facebook Live. So I'm delighted to be with you this evening. When you arrive, just leave me a comment below so I know you're here, and I'm just going to check that I'm in the right place. So bear with me while I see. Let's see now. Who we got? Hi Lynn, welcome. Hi Diane, good to see you. Just glad you can see me. I'm just checking my page now to see where I am. There I am. Brilliant. And let's just... There we go. So if you haven't already done so, hi Doreen, thanks Lynn. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to share this video either to your Facebook page or to any groups you belong to. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, then I'd love it if you shared that too. Helps us reach more people, which is great. Hi Sue, welcome. Good to have you with us. So tonight I have quite a lot to tell you and a fun technique for you. So some of you should already have started receiving your happy mail in the post. I sent out all the new annual catalogues at the weekend. So you should be, if you haven't already done so, you should be getting this in the post in the next couple of days. I think one or two of you have already got it. Hi Emma, you got yours? Fantastic. So those of you who've got yours, I hope that you're enjoying it. And I've got a couple of, you'll have received my letter because there's a couple of other things going on that I just want to tell you about. So let's do that and then we'll get down to our class tonight, our session tonight. I've got a fun technique for you. So a couple of things that I need to tell you about to do with the new catalogue. The first one is a date for your diary. So not this Saturday, the following Saturday, Saturday the 8th of May will be my virtual launch party. So a lot of you are familiar with the format. It happens on my Facebook page. It runs throughout the day. We've got live crafting. We've got some quizzes. We've got some lovely interactive stuff. I'll do a catalogue walkthrough with you. I'll be making projects with the lovely new products. And then it's all rounded off at the end by bingo night, where there's some lovely prizes up for grabs. And we've got a big prize draw as well. So it's a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy them. It seems like not that long ago that I did one for our spring summer catalogue. It's come back around again fast. So 8th of May, put that date in your diary. I hope to see you all there. The other thing to tell you about, obviously, with any new catalogue is we've got a whole load of new papers. So as usual, I will be running my paper share, which is basically you get a quarter share of each one of the 11 new designer series paper in the catalogue. I can't show you them yet because I'm not allowed to open the catalogue until the 4th of May. But those of you who have it will see. So you'll get a quarter share of all of those. So that's 144 6x6 sheets, and that costs £35. So it would normally cost you 130 to buy them all, but this way you get a quarter of everything. That includes your postage and packing, and it also includes a quarter share of our in colour designer series paper stack. So that's a 6x6 pack which has has sheets of all of the new in colours. So you get a quarter share of that. The other thing that I'm doing again this year is Stamp Club. So no doubt as you're looking through this, you may well have quite a long list of things that you'd like to acquire. And I know that at the moment in particular, things are difficult for a lot of people because of the last year or so. So I'm reintroducing Stamp Club. And how that works is that it runs for 6 months. There are 6 members in it. And each of you orders at least £25 every month. And what that means then is that the combined order each month qualifies for host credits. So the minimum amount is £150, which will get you £15 hostess credits. So there's 6 of you, and for each of the months, one of you will be allocated that month, and whatever the hostess credits are when we add all the orders together, you get that for free. So it's a great way to just spread your purchases over the period. That starts in June and runs till November, and I'll be taking registrations for that until the 22nd of May. The other thing is, if your list is really quite long and you can't wait, I need to tell you that obviously the best deal out there is always the demonstrator sign up option. So for £99 you get to choose £130 worth of product. And I know lots of you on here have previously been demonstrators, joined again, dropped again. So it's very, very easy to do. You don't have to do classes if you don't want to. You don't have to sell if you don't want to. All you need to do to remain active is to spend a certain amount every quarter. If you don't do that, then you just stop being a demonstrator. It's dead easy. So from the 4th of May, there will be an extra special demonstrator sign-up offer where you get to pick, I think it's £154 to spend for just £99. So you get an extra £24 to spend. So like that, if you've got a big wish list and you just can't wait, then I would recommend that you sign up as a demonstrator after the 4th of May. Get your £55 worth of free stuff, and then you get a discount on everything that you order after that. So that's also a great way of just making sure that you get the most bang for your buck. So that's to do with the catalogue. Also, a couple of things coming up as I try to sort of get myself back into the swing of things is, those of you in my VIP group will have noticed that I've put out a call for starting the card swaps again. So we will do a card swap in May. So if you haven't already done so, go over to the VIP group and just leave a comment and letting me know that you want to join, and I'll sort it all out. And the other thing that I want to introduce during May, bring back, is our mystery stamping night. So I will put something in the diary and we'll do it like we do before. We normally do it over Zoom. How it works is I just give you some dimensions of pieces that you need to make your card, and then you kind of make it blind and we see what we all come up with at the end. So we've done it a few times before, and it's been popular, so I'm going to bring that one back during May. Yay! Hi Sue, glad you enjoyed the catalogue. You're welcome. So is that everything I need to tell you for tonight? Yes, it is. Just a reminder as well, if you're placing any orders this month, just make sure to use this host code. When we start the new catalogue on the 4th of May, I'll create a new host code, and we can, I'll tell you what that is. So for tonight, as I was saying to you, I've got a fun technique to do with you, and that is colouring on vellum using our Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol markers. So this works for our Stampin' Blends, but if you've got other alcohol markers, then it should work just the same for you. I've been meaning to try it for a long time now, but I haven't been able to get hold of the right alcohol. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a few backgrounds, and then on the basis of how they turn out, then we'll make some cards out of them. So a couple of things that you're going to need. First of all is alcohol. And you have to be careful of the type of alcohol that you get. So I already had rubbing alcohol, 70%, which I used for turning my shimmer paint into a spritz. But in order to do this particular technique, you need as high an alcohol content as possible. So I've got some alcohol which is 99.8%. Okay, so vodka won't do it. You need something that's almost 100% proof. I haven't tried it, but I'm assuming by the smell it's not very nice. So you can usually get this in your chemist, but I haven't been able to get it on the island. So I just ordered this from Amazon. It's relatively inexpensive. There's quite a lot in here, so you'd have to do a lot of crafting to use all of this, but I'm sure you can use it around the house for cleaning as well. Hi Karen, welcome. So you will need that, as I say, as high a percentage, as close to 100% as you can get. You'll need some pieces of vellum, obviously, and you'll need a spritzer, so I've filled this already with this alcohol. I've got an assortment of just various paint brushes to help me out, and the other thing that works well with this is a straw, but I don't have any straws, so I'm just going to use the barrel of an old biro. Hopefully that'll do the trick. So the other important thing is this is messy, so I've just got some kitchen towel. Okay, so as I say, we're just going to play for the first bit, and then we'll see if we can make some cards out of it. So the other thing that you're going to need are your blends. So obviously the colors are up to you. So if you have some suggestions of some color combinations that you'd like to see, I've got 3 different pieces here, so I'm going to have a go at quite a few, so we should have an opportunity. So shout out in the comments, let me know what color combinations you would like to see, and I'm just going to get myself set up here. So because I'm going to do this live, I'll probably use my heat tool as well, but that's not necessary if you're doing it yourself. Okay, you don't want to literally sit here and watch stuff dry. That's just no fun at all. Okay, all right, so let's bring in one of our pieces and let me think about some colours that I might want. So I've got some Mango Melody, and let's see what else have we got. Flirty Flamingo. I'm just going to pick a range of colours here. Got Bermuda Bay, some Balmy Blue maybe. Have we got any purples? Let's try some Highland Heather. Now I'm not going to do all of these together, I'm just gathering a range of colours for myself. Did I get Bermuda Bay? I did. Might want some Granny Apple Green. And let's see, we probably want a red of some sort. So let's grab our Poppy Parade, I think, and let's grab some Night of Navy as well. And let's try some Pool Party. Can't go wrong with Pool Party if I can find it. Okay. So let's see, have we got any suggestions for colour schemes that you might want to see? Let me just... Okay, so I think I might start with, I want a darker pink as well. Melon Mambo. Let's try that, and let's try some Daffodil Delight. Alrighty, so we've got quite a range here to get going on. I'm just gonna, my setup has gone a bit funny here, so just bear with me 1 second. Can't see any colour suggestions yet. Is that because of the delay or because you don't know what you want? Let's have a look. Sorry folks, I will be right with you. As I said, I'm just having a bit of trouble with my setup here in terms of what I can see, so bear with me. So let's see, Bermuda Bay, Granny Apple Green and Daffodil Delight, says Emma. So Bermuda Bay, Granny Apple Green and Daffodil Delight. Let's start with that. Seems as good a place as I need to begin. Okay, so what I'm going to do And health warning right now, 2 health warnings. 1, this is messy. And 2, if you like everything just so and you like to have complete control over what's going on, this technique is totally not for you. This is one of those where you just sit down and just make a load and play, and we see how it goes, okay? And every time you do it, it will be different. Okay, so you can see that I'm just scribbling in randomly. So we don't want to overlap our colours specifically. Okay. We do want to make sure we've got a good bit of coverage. Now the other thing to remember with this is that as you put the alcohol on here, the colours get lighter. So I recommend using your dark colours, your dark blends, rather than your light blends. Okay, so let's do that. And then we'll add some green in here. And a bit more Bermuda Bay. There we go. So as you can see, I am not being careful or deliberate at all in what I'm putting on. I'm just making sure that I have plenty of colour down. Okay. Alrighty. So there we go. I'm going to bring in my kitchen towel, every crafter's standby or essential crafting item, and then I've got my spritzer. So what I want to do is just lay some alcohol down on here, okay? So I'm going to be very generous with it because we want to see those colours move. And then I'm going to take my thing, whatever it's called, and I'm going to just try and, forgive me if my head gets in the way here. I'm just going to use it to move the ink around. I'm not particularly concerned if I've got white bits on mine, but if you were, then you could add some more, which I'll show you how to do it in a minute. So you can see we've got bits running off the edge there. I'm just going to allow my there we go. Okay, so there we go. So I can see that I've got some little gaps here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with my Daffodil Delight. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit more colour in these areas. I'm going to add a bit more Bermuda Bay down this side. So the alcohol dries off really quite quickly, so it doesn't normally take all that long. And then we just add a bit more. As I say, every time you spray alcohol on it, it lessens the colour. So I can see I've got a dry spot here, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of alcohol and run my colour into it. There we go. So again, it's entirely up to you. I quite like having the hard lines in between. you want to blend it a bit more, that's fine. And I would suggest that you try and pin your paper down a little bit so that it encourages the ink to run. Okay, so now let's just... There we go. And I'm just going to hit that with my heat tool. Now if you're using your heat tool, ours has got 2 settings on it, so you don't want the full-on setting that you use for heat embossing, because that will, unless you want to, that will push the ink around. Can you see how it's doing that? So if you want to do that, then use the high level. If you just want to dry it, then you just use the lower one. It also helps prevent it, or helps stop the curling that you will inevitably get when you're working on these. Okay. So there we go, still got a wet spot there. Okay. And again, if I wanted to make that darker, I could just go back in with my... And this is where you can see that the darker colours really work better. And let's spritz that. There we go. Okay, but again with this you're going to have to know when to stop, because you could just keep on going with something like this. Okay, so I'm just going to do it on the back. There we are. So there we go, that's our first one. Now that's a little bit difficult to see, so if I show you, if you put it behind, put a white piece behind. Can you see that? Now if I was to grab, depending on the colour that you put behind it, you will get a different effect. So if I was on that one to then put yellow behind it, you can see it gives it a different look. Okay, so also experiment with what colours you put at the back of it. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So I've got Bermuda Bay. So you can see we kind of lose a lot of the yellow when we do that. Putting the wrong bit away. But the yellow looks quite nice. So I'll have to have a think about whether I want to put it on yellow or on white. Let me know what you think in the comments. So I'm going to put that to one side. That's one colour combination. So that worked well. So let's try another one. Let's bring in another one. Let's try some pinks and purples, shall we? So let's start with, let's do some Flirty Flamingo, Highland Heather, and Melon Mambo. Okay, so get rid of that for a moment. So again, Diane says yellow, Emma says white. Is it going to be one of those nights, ladies? Not that I mind. So on this one, with my Flirty Flamingo, which is the lighter of the 3 colours, I'm going to lay quite, you can see I'm going over it, I'm laying quite a lot of colour down in each of the areas. White, says Lynn. Okay, so let's do that. Could I colour and add alcohol later? I'm not sure how long you could leave this for, Sue. I suspect that your results, I mean, the alcohol markers dry relatively quickly anyway. So you wouldn't, you don't need to keep it wet in that sense, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't want to go away and come back an hour later, if that's what you mean. Okay. Okay, and now we've got our Highland Heather. So the thing to be mindful of when you're choosing your colours for this is you want colours that, if they do mix together, they're not going to create a muddy brown mess. So it's the same with any kind of blending. Yes, Susan, that's right. You can buy a little puffer online. The other thing you can use, any of you who've had children will know these, the little bottle thingies that you use to suck the mucus from babies' noses. I don't know if any of you have ever had the pleasure of having to do that for a little one. I'm sure some of you have. But yeah, straw works just as well. But I guess if you struggle with breathlessness or something, you don't really want to be blowing into things. I understand that. Okay, so add a bit more here. So you can see I'm adding layers of colour on here. Okay, trying to make it relatively even so we don't have too much of one colour on here. So let's see how this one works out. So we've got our makeshift straw. You don't have a straw, Sue, so what I'm using is the barrel of an old biro because I don't have a straw either. Yes, Susan, it's vellum. So for this to work, you shouldn't use watercolour paper or anything because it needs to sort of just sit on top. That's why it works on here. It doesn't soak into the vellum. So let's add our alcohol. There we go. And then let's get it moving. Okay, so can you see where you've got a line along the edge here? Okay, you can just, it's the same when you're watercolouring. So I won't use the very edges of these pieces. I've deliberately made them a little bit bigger than I think I'm going to need. So it allows me to deal with some of that. Okay, and again now it's drying a little bit and I think I want a little bit more of the other two colours just to balance the Melon Mambo because the Melon Mambo is really very, very bright. Okay, so let's add some more in. The other thing is when I added more alcohol to this, the Melon Mambo will basically, the alcohol allows the colour to evaporate, so it'll take some of that colour out. It'll lighten it. Now, I guess if you use really, 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 really dark colours, you could get quite a dark effect with this, but what I like about this technique is actually the quite light effect that we get. So let's just fill this in a bit more. There we go, and then we just spray some more alcohol on here. Biggest challenge is pointing it in the right direction. All right, and now let's work on some of these. And so what I'm going to do here, that's a bit darker than I want, so I'm just going to take my corner and just dab a little bit off. Okay, again, you might want a really smooth look, or you might like to see the lines and so on, so it's entirely up to you. Okay, so now I'm just going to dab this whole thing. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I didn't realise that. Let me show you this. My kitchen towel is patterned, and if you look closely, you can see that some of the pattern is actually transferred onto some of these bits. So that's really quite cool. Okay, so let's do a bit more purple, I think. I'm going to try, now what I want to do is I'm going to try and be a bit more strategic in where I put my alcohol. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my alcohol. I'm just going to put a little bit in the lid. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my aqua painter. So I've taken the water out of it. Okay, and I'm just going to, you can see you can do this as well. So if you want a little bit more control over certain areas, you can just take and drop some alcohol in there. Rather than just spraying it all over everything. So down here I want to blend it a bit more. There you go. Hi Kat, welcome. We are using rubbing alcohol, but we are using as close to 100% as you can get. Gin. Unfortunately, Diane, that's not strong enough. And what a waste. Okay, so now it's over to you guys. We've had Daffodil Delight, Bermuda Bay and Granny Apple Green. And this one has been Flirty Flamingo, Melon Mambo and Highland Heather. So any other suggestions of colours that you might like to see whilst I clear myself a bit of room and prepare. I've got one more piece to play with. Should we see if we can get a dark? Yes, I'm doing it on vellum, Cat. If I was doing it on regular paper, the paper would just absorb the ink and it wouldn't move. So you need a non-porous surface to do this on. So let me think. Colours, colours, colours. Shall we try some blues? Let's just try. So let's try our balmy blue, Night of Navy, and maybe if we add a bit of, yeah, see, Sue, we're on the same wavelength here. What about if we add a little bit of grey into our blue? Oh, that's a good idea, Dan. Let's see if we can add some yellow into the blue. How does that sound? That sounds good. Okay. All right, so let's start with the balmy blue. So I've got my dark balmy blue here. And again, let's just lay down plenty of colour. And I guess the key with this as well is when choosing your colours is to try and put lots of bits of the light colour and not so much of your dark colour, so that one colour doesn't overtake and dominate. Now, I'm going to, have I got a piece here that's this one? Can't really see because I've got other colours underneath. Okay, so that's our blue. And let's take our dark Mango Melody. Okay, and then we've got our Night of Navy. Now, I'm using my light Night of Navy for this one for the moment because I don't want to go too dark. But if we think we need more, then I will get my dark Night of Navy. Okay, and now we'll just fill in a bit more. And like I said, you can just keep on going with this. Once you've done one set, you can dry it and then go back in and add more colour. So it's not just a one trick, a one-time thing. You can keep doing with it, but as I say, with all of these things, there reaches a point where you've got to just kind of say, okay, that'll do. Otherwise you could be here all night. All right, so let's see how this one works. So we'll spritz our alcohol. Okay. Okay, now I need to top up my spritzer, so bear with me 1 second. Let's hope I don't spill my alcohol everywhere. Pressure. There we go. Okay, so that's looking good, but I think it needs more alcohol on there to get it moving. So you can see I'm really being quite generous with the alcohol. Oh, that's better. And I love the way those colours are mixing. We're getting a little bit of green going on. We're going to hit that with my heat tool because I want to add some more to it. So you can see here how the heat tool is actually pushing the ink around, which I want in this instance, but if you don't want it to push the ink around, then you just use your lower setting. Okay, so that looks good. I like that. Let's have a look at that. So that is really light and subtle. So you could leave it exactly like that if you wanted. Yes, that's right. You could add Wink of Stella or something into this, and then you'd end up with a sparkling one as well, Sue. Right, so I think I want a bit more of the light blue rather than the night of navy. So let's add a few spots. The yellow's actually turned out quite nice. There we go. Let's spritz a bit more. So I've just spritzed a little bit now because I don't want too much movement. There we go. Let's add, I think what I am going to do is let's try, at the risk of ruining the whole thing, let's try some dark night of navy, shall we? Just to add a little bit of definition and contrast in a few places here. You can see I'm just adding a tiny bit of it. Oop. If I point my spritzer in the right direction, it would work better. What I would say is that you do need to work reasonably quickly because the alcohol does dry quite quickly. So that's where having your brush kind of helps just deal with if you've got some bits and pieces that you don't really like. You can blend them a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to stop there with that one because I think we run the risk of just overdoing it. So let's just put the heat tool on that. it over. And then my pink one has curled a little, so I'm just going to flip it over. It's so much fun, Diane. It really is. And like I say, it's one of those ones where just grab yourself your pack of vellum, cut it up into these pieces and just play. And you don't even have to make the cards straight away. You can just come back to it another time. But of course, tonight we will make some cards with them. So there we go. That is the technique. I hope you guys have a go at it. Now, you could do something similar if you had water-based inks. You would have to, so let's say you had our re-inkers like this. You could do something similar on vellum with water. You could also do it on watercolor paper, but I like the alcohol. I like using the markers because you've got a bit more control than you do with inkers. Okay, so let's clear some of this away, some of the mess, and let's make some cards. So I've got a couple of ideas of what I want to do. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to make a frame for your card, and I think this works really well with something like this because it helps with the issue of how do you stick it down without the glue showing through. So we'll solve that problem. So what I've got here is I've got my Whisper White card base, okay, and then I've just got a piece about the same size as the front, and I've got our stitched rectangle dies. Now I think these are retiring, but I'm not 100% sure. I think they are. So what I'm going to do is take the largest, like so, okay, that's roughly, you can see, and that's because it's roughly the size of the card front. Okay, hi Prissy, welcome. And then I'm going to take, I think the third one in after that. Depends what size you want your frame to be. Okay, so what you want to do is just line that up like so. So if I wanted a skinnier frame, I would just take that one. Okay, or if I wanted a really thick frame, I could do that. But I think that's a bit of a waste. So we'll go for this one here. So then what we'll do is I'll grab some washi tape, and once I'm happy with the position, use a washi tape, or you could use a post-it note. Okay, once I've done that and I'm happy with it, this is all being done by eye, but you could measure it if you prefer. Hi Amy, welcome. You missed the messy bit, but we're going to make the cards now. So now when I do this, it means when I run this through my die cutting machine, they shouldn't move. So bear with me 1 second while I just run these through the big shot. Okay, so now what should happen, peel this piece off. Okay, and then just pop them out. Okay, and then got our centerpiece, pop that out. So we end up with a panel that we can use on another project. And here we have our frame. Okay, and that principle applies no matter what shape you're using. So if you could do this using circles or squares or whatever. That's how you create a frame for something. All right, so we'll pop those away for a second. We'll bring in our card. So now you can see we have our frame. Now I want to pop this frame up, so I'm going to grab our, hang on, I want our foam strips, so just 1 second. Go. So you could use our foam adhesive strips, or if you have, you can get inexpensive double-sided tape from craft shops. So I've got some thick here. Well, it's the right thickness. Might just about work. Let's see. Yeah, let's see if we do that. Okay. Because what you want is to create, whoops, is to make it as solid as possible. So if I use just dimensionals, it wouldn't sit quite as flush as I would like it to. You'd have dips. The other thing you could do is you could cut a number of them and layer them together, but I think this is just as effective. Tell I've got some extra over the side there, but I can trim that. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to grab not my good scissors. So you can see I've got some overspill here, so I'm just going to trim this. Like so. Making a bit of a meal of it, but we'll get there. There we go. Okay, so you can see now when I place that down, it's going to be a very solid all the way around frame. Okay, let me just deal with some of these side bits here. So what I should have done is used a slightly thinner piece of tape, but that's all right. There we are. Okay, so alright, I'm getting sticky stuff all over me, but that's alright. Let's just flip this over. Okie dokie. Right, so now we're going to put our piece behind. So I think I'm going to use that one because it fits just nicely. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do is take my adhesive, and you can use either side, okay, but I'm going to just put some small bit around the very edge, like so. I don't need a lot. This is really mainly to hold it in place because the frame will hold it. Okay, so we'll just center that like so. And I'm just using my block because I've got slightly inky fingers and I don't want to inadvertently spread ink onto my project. Okay, and now we'll add our frame. Sticky. There we go. And then we'll just line this up. Okay, hi Jewel, welcome. All right, so that's part. Now what I want to do is I want to add a sentiment or a focal point. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this Forever Greenery die set. Now this is continuing in the new catalogue, but it is not going to be bundled with the Forever Greenery stamp set. So if you like this and you haven't got it yet, then I would suggest that you get your hands on it whilst you can still have the bundle savings. So I'm just going to cut 2 of these out of just some scrap white cardstock that I've got. Okay. How are we doing for time? Okay, we might run a little late tonight, ladies, if that's all right, while we get these cards done. All right. I'm just going to add it along the side there. Like I said, I'm just keeping these super simple because I want the technique to be the star of the show. Okay, so let's do that, and then I'm going to use the art gallery bundle. So again, this bundle is in the spring summer catalogue. It is in the new annual catalogue, but it's not bundled. So I'm going to use the thank you. So if you like this and you haven't got it already, I would get it before the end of May. Otherwise you might find yourself having to pay more for it, which would be a shame. Okay, so I think we're going to do, I'm just going to grab a scrap of Night of Navy. Pretty little piece, should do the trick. Let's see if I've got one. No, but this will do. So I'm going to heat emboss this in white. White embossing powder. White. There we go. All right. Okay. Embossing buddy. Stamp it in Versamark. Okay. Pop our white on here. And then let's emboss that. There we go. Let's put that back in there. Okay, and I'm going to grab, I'm going to grab my punch and punch this out. We'll even try and get it straight. There we go. Okay. Here we are. So I'm going to use some glue dots for this. I'm going to paste some glue dots just strategically on some of these leaves. Oh, I know how that feels, Sue. I'm sorry, but I'm also delighted that you feel that inspired. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you create with this technique. And of course, this aside from the vellum technique that we've just used, this particular layout and this stuff that I've done, you could use just having coloured patterned paper at the back there. Very, very straightforward. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. And then I think there are two things that we need on here. One is some bling. Let me grab my rhinestones. And let's see who can guess what the other one is. You regulars will know exactly what I've got on my mind. So I'm just going to add a few little bits on here. And then I'm going to spritz with my Wink of Stella. So I'm going to add some to my leaves. Yeah, absolutely right, Diane. And what I'm going to do is, rather than spritzing, is I'm going to just create some lines on here that follow some of this seaming. Don't know if you can see how that's... Can you see what I'm doing there? So it just highlights some of the edges, like so. There we go. Okay, so that's card number one. The other two should come together pretty quickly as well, because the hard part was the beginning. Okay, so let me just make some space here. Okay. All right, let's pop that there. So now the next one, I have done the same with a black background, because what I want to do is I want to use these are the Friendly Silhouettes dies, and these are retiring, and I really like these. So you can see I've already cut my frame, and I'm just going to quickly die cut this border piece. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so let's just trim it at the edge here. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so I want that to sit inside my frame, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to put this one behind it, like so. Okay, but I think I'm going to put the yellow behind it to make it really pop against the black. See that? All right, so I'm just going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut this. So my frame here is in centimeters. Thank you very much, ladies. So it's 12, 13. Ooh, hearts. Excellent. Thank you. 13 by 9. So I'm going to trim this to by 9. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that works. You can see that it sits behind. So I'm just going to attach it to this. Yes, Emma, I love these dies. I haven't really played with them, but I think they're gorgeous. And they're just really easy to use. So again, we're just going to put a little bit of adhesive along the edge. So using the frame with this eliminates the problem of glue showing. Although, to be honest, I don't think it really shows all that much because of the design. So you can see, there we go. They were a bundle 2 years ago, so they kind of sit in the back of the catalogue, Emma, and they're very, very easy to miss. They're just in the die section at the back. I'll show you. Oh, whoops, I accidentally opened up the new catalogue. Would have got in trouble for that. Where are they? There we go, Friendly Silhouettes. There they are, they're on page 181. So they coordinate with the Friends Like You stamp set on page 128. This is the coordinating stamp, but you can see that the two are completely independent of one another, so you don't need both of them. Okay. All right, so if I had to choose, I would pick the dies. All right. So now we're going to pop this up. Now, because this is black, I'm going to go to town with my black dimensionals. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip my edge pieces from here so I get a strip. Okay. And because these are black, they won't show on this being popped up. So now let's take this edge piece. Whereas if I was to use white dimensionals on here, then you would be able to see it at the side. Okay, so now we can glue this piece to our card base. Just center that up. Yeah, we don't have. I didn't want to use up loads of my dimensionals, Kathy. But yeah, the edges are a great way to do it. Now, before I do that, I need to bring in my die, and I want it attached to the bottom here. So I've got my die. So this is the front of the die. So I've flipped my frame over, and then I'm going to flip this over as well. And I'm just going to attach it like so. Okay, so I will, and then I'm going to trim the edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to need a little bit of glue along here so that the whole thing sits on my card. Okay. Bring this back in. And there we go. Now, I made a mistake. I wanted to stamp and heat emboss on here in white, but I don't want to do that now because I've not got an even surface to stamp on. So I'm just going to grab, I've got the piece left over here. Colours are amazing, Diane. Well, you chose them. Okay, so then I'm going to take the I'm Thinking of You sentiment, this one, and just do like we did before. So we'll always with the embossing buddy. Reverse a mark. And I think my stamp is crooked. So with photopolymer, skinny ones like this, it's very easy for them to get crooked when you're taking them off the plastic. So the thing to do is just place them down and then pick it up with your block, and then you'll get them nice and straight. Okay. There we are. course, I haven't. I've made it crooked, but we can sort that out. And just grab the heat tool. So what do you reckon, guys? Do you think you're going to have a go at this one? At this technique? I've been seeing it on Pinterest and various other places for a while now, but like I said, I've been struggling to get hold of the correct alcohol. But yeah, this is one, as I say, where you could just play and make lots. Okay, so make sure to stock up on your vellum. Now what I would say is when you're using your vellum on this one, is make sure that you've got a good thick vellum. Skinny, you know, you can get different thicknesses. So if you've just got a skinny vellum, you already started, Sue, that's great. If you've got a skinny vellum or a fine vellum, then it might not withstand all of that. I'm just trimming this with my little paper trimmer. It might not withstand all of that working with the alcohol. Okay. Alright, so now what we'll do with this one is we'll get our mini black dimensionals, and I'm going to pop them along here, but not all the way. Yeah, you don't need a lot of colours, Emma. I mean, you could do it with just one colour and just get different shadings, or you could do it with just two. So whatever colours you have, I would definitely recommend you give it a go. Okay. So you can see what I've done is I've put the dimensionals on this bit so that it's at the same level as the frame, and then I've just put glue on this side so that it's all one level. So there we go. I think this requires a little bit of Stella too, so I'm just going to do like before and just highlight some of that veining, just to give it a little bit of interest, but without making it really, really sparkly. There we go. Okay, so I don't know if you can, there, can you see where we're just catching the edges of the colours? Okay, so that's card number 2. All right, so we've got one more piece that we made, so we can make one more card. I think we'll just do this one quickly. So what I've got is I've got my card, Whisper White card base, and I've got another panel. But this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Rather than creating a frame, I'm going to create an aperture. So if we get our pieces, what I'm going to do is take this one and we're just going to create a bit here. Okay? And then I'm also going to just grab a piece of scrap here. I'm going to stamp these flowers, okay, so we can create a focal point. So we've got our solid and our detail. So we're going to use the same colours. So we'll use Melon Mambo and a Flirty Flamingo. Okay. So we're going to stamp our solid image in Flirty Flamingo. And we'll do one, because that's a big image. Have I got my, yes, I just want my stamping mat here so we get a good solid image. There we go, that's better. Okay, and then I'm going to ink up the Melon Mambo. And just as an experiment, do I want to stamp off first? No, I want full colour on here. Okay. There we go. What I love about this stamp is that it doesn't matter if it's not 100% lined up, because it's got that, that's just the look of it. And so we'll close those up. So we have the die in here that cuts out that flower. So I'm going to, even does it that way even. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to cut the aperture from here. So I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves, ladies. I'll be back in a moment. Okay. Right, I am back. So I've die cut 2, and then we're going to take our piece like this. So again, this is something you can use on another project. Okay, and then for this one, I want, again, it to be quite solid. So I'm going to take my wide tape. Okay, just add this. Trying not to get it over the edge, so we've got a neater finish than we did on our first card. Now see, if I'd been super organized and planned ahead, I would have made sure that I placed this far enough away from the edge so that my tape would fit. As it is, I don't think it is, but that's not a problem. It's not quite, so I'm going to grab my strips and just use these. There we go. Alrighty, so that's that. Here we are, and then this is going to go behind like so, but I can cut this down. I don't need to use all of it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a piece off the side here, and then I can use that on a different project. There we go. There we are. And because it's on a white base, I don't really need to add another layer behind it. Okay, so I'm just going to trim it a little at the top. There we go. So again, just a little bit of glue around the edge. Down. So before I press it, I just want to make sure that it's in position. Yes. And now I can... So when you're doing this sort of stuff, it's important to make sure that the piece that goes behind is considerably larger than the aperture, so that you've got that room to move around if you wish. Okay, so we've got that. And then we have our piece that we cut earlier, like so, and we'll use our flowers. Oops. There we go, and then I've got a little scrap of white. No, I'm going to, let's stick with the theme for the night and let's just do the heat embossing. I think that'll add a nice, just a nice pop of colour to what we want. And I'm going to stick with thank you. There we go. Could you see I've thought these through in great detail? Go. There we are. There we go. So Sue, how are you getting on with your working alongside us? Have you managed to produce anything? Let's see some pickies if you have. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to tail the end of it. So this punch is also retiring. This is our banner punch, but there are other products or other punches that you can use instead. Okay, so I just like that one. We get into our habits, don't we, of our things that we like. So I don't keep my punches on my desk because they take up quite a lot of space, but that one always is on my desk. I use it a lot. Yes, Sue, definitely. Post it in the group. We'd all love to see it. Okay. There we go. And then I'm just going to do the same with my Wink of Stella and just add some bits just to emphasize those lovely lines. There we go. Okay, and then I'll add some Wink of Stella to this. It's easier to do before I put it on the card. Our blue dots. Okay, so I want to position it so that it kind of sits across, so it's supported. So we want one here. One here. One under here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is take one of my mini dimensionals and I'm just going to cut a teeny tiny piece. See how small in just a second. Can you see that? Just the tiniest little piece. See if I can even get it off. There we go. And I'm just going to pop it under here, under one of these petals, just to help it stand up a little. Okay, and then we'll pop our flower in here. Like so, and our thank you is going to sit underneath like that. So we'll pop that there. trim this. And then some dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to use my black ones, seeing as I have them out. Ooh, for your daughter's birthday. Lovely. Okay, so let's pop that in there. No, I like it down here. And then you can place that down. Okay, and then final touch. Just a couple of rhinestones. So there's my take your pick tool. There we go, and then I think maybe one more. Oops. Up there. So there we go. Card number 3. So let's bring in, it's over to you now, ladies. Let's bring in the other cards we made today. So make some room. It's voting time. So we've got card number 1. Ooh, hearts, I love it. Card number 2 and card number 3. So what are your votes? So whilst you're voting, just let me remind you, date for your diary is the 8th of May, which is my virtual launch party, which is on my Facebook page. So watch out for the posting for that. Paper shares will be offering a quarter pack of each of the new papers in the new catalogue. So check that out. And also my stamp club will be starting up again in June. So those of you who've received your catalogues, you should see it. It'll be on the letter that you've got with it. Otherwise, you can go to my website, www.stampingjack.com, and you'll find all of the details there. And also, if you haven't already done so and you'd like to, pop over to the Stamping Jack VIP group if you want to sign up for the May card swap. Thank you to those of you who've done so already. I can't remember the date that you have to do it, but yeah, we'll restart our card swaps. So let's have a look. Sue Bishop refuses to vote because they're all beautiful. Thank you, Sue. Number 1. So Mary says 3, 1, 2. Amy says 2. Emma says 3, 2, 1. 2, 3, 1. Oh my goodness. 2, 1, 3. Wow, mixed bag. Mixed bag tonight. So I hope you, sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here. So I hope you enjoyed yourselves tonight. I hope you learned this technique and you're going to give it a go. And like I say, even if you can't do the vellum, these are great ideas to use just with a watercolor background or with sponging or with paper. So you don't have to use the vellum technique to use these layouts and these frames. So thank you, everybody. It's been lovely chatting with you this evening. Thank you for all your comments. As I say, if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you'd share this video, whether you're on Facebook or watching the live replay. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you all again next week. Bye.